Okay. Hello, everyone. This is Jason Marks, the Chair of the Board of Campaign Practices and Ethics for the City of Albuquerque. I'm going to call to order the meeting for Friday, October 24th. That's 10 a.m. in Albuquerque. Uh, we need Mr. Rocha, if you could please call the roll for the record.
Member Caffrey,
Here.
Member Cuniff,
Here.
Member King, Member Kelly,
Here.
Member Green,
Here.
Member Selvin, and Chair Marks.
Here. So that would be 5 board members present. Give us a quorum and we can take care of business. Hopefully we'll get some folks joining us. Our first item is the approval of the agenda. If the board members are okay with it, I'd like to move the LEVA campaign matter to the end. We need the internal audit folks are time limited, and also I would prefer not to keep Matt Jackson's clock running on the city while if it takes a while for us to get through the labor thing. So I would, if there's no objection, I would propose that we move item 4 to the end of the agenda and then take the internal audit first and then Mr. Jackson, and the chair would make that as his motion, and would appreciate a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Caffrey. Mr. Rocha, can you take a roll call vote on that motion? Which is to approve the agenda with changes.
Yes.
Member Cuniff,
Yes.
Chair Marks, I have Member King joining us at 10:02. Member King,
Yes.
Member Kelly,
Yes.
Member Green,
Yes.
Chair Marks.
Yes. Okay.
You have to do
So we've
that.
adopted our agenda with the change. The next item would then be the minutes from September 10th, 2025. So anybody need more time to review any proposed changes? And if not, is there a motion to approve as the draft was presented?
So moved.
That was Mr. Cuniff. We have a second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. King. Mr. Rocha, the roll.
Member Caffrey,
Yes.
Member Cuniff,
Yes.
Member King,
Yes.
Member Kelly,
Yes.
Member Green,
Yes.
Chair Marks.
Yes. Okay, so we've adopted our minutes. Our next item will be the report from the is it OIG or
The Office of
Internal Audit. Office of Internal Audit. Who do we have here?
Chair Marks, we have Marissa Rodgers and Vanessa Miski
Okay.
here to just give us a general summary.
Okay. Please proceed. I see Marissa Vargas on the Zoom.
Oh, they're having audio issues.
Okay. You're probably surprised that we moved them up or something.
Okay, they're both having audio issues.
Okay.
Should
Uh,
we try to come back to that?
Yeah, I'm gonna move to table the report from the Office of Internal Audit. Is there a second? And we'll take it off the table after Mr. Jackson. If there's somebody would second that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. Call the roll, Mr. Rocha.
Member Caffrey,
Yes.
Member Cuniff,
Yes.
Member King,
Yes.
Member Kelly,
Yes.
Member Green,
Yes.
Chair Marks.
Yes. Okay. Okay, next we will be taking Mr. Jackson with his draft advisory opinion 08-2025. Mr. Jackson, you prepared, and I think he's having video problems, but we should have his audio. You may proceed.
Yes, thank you, Chair Marks. And thank you, members of the board. Good morning. This request came from Kyle, and I apologize in advance. Matral, I don't know how to pronounce the requester's last name. The text of the request is as follows. I am requesting an advisory opinion relating to if a larger allied organization can in-kind an advertisement to buy a Measure Finance Committee. Excuse me, can in-kind an advertisement buy to a Measure Finance Committee. This has been a long-standing practice in partisan campaigns where larger allied groups have in-kinded campaign advertising buys, full production for candidates and other allied PACs all over the nation. For Cristobal, there seems to be no relevant statute in the city charter. An advisory opinion would help answer this question given the construction of the definition of a Measure Finance Committee in the City of Albuquerque Charter, Article 6(2)Y and 6. The other issue at play is top 5 and secondary donor disclosure as provided in the city charter. By asking this question, this is a matter of fair play for all candidates and MFCs. So the draft that you have comprises mostly just recitation of the relevant portions of the charter and the clerk's rules for the election code and the open and ethical elections code. Beginning with the definition of in-kind contributions, which is in Article 13, Section 2AA. That definition is broad, and it's just any good or service other than money that is contributed to a campaign. So that by itself answers the primary question, which is whether an organization may in-kind an advertisement buy to a Measure Finance Committee. The answer is yes. The charter does not place any limits on what may be contributed to a campaign or committee in kind. It's, it's just a question of is there a contribution of money or is it something else? And the rules contemplate in-kind contributions related to advertising, and there are examples provided in the non-exhaustive list in Part 4A1 of the rules, for purchasing campaign signs, purchasing advertising for a newspaper buy, discounted printing services, provision of supplies for campaign signs. And then also in the discussion of the in-kind rules related to professional services, which isn't really applicable here because that provision comes into play when you're looking at whether an in-kind is running up against the limits on contributions to candidates, which are not applicable to Measure Finance Committees. There's a discussion of the provision of graphic design services. So the answer to the primary question is yes, that an organization may contribute in kind an advertising buy, including the services associated with producing that advertising to a Measure Finance Committee. Now, the secondary question is a little bit less clear. It's not clearly stated in the opinion request, but the requester appears to be concerned about the interaction between that in-kind contribution and the Measure Finance Committee provisions. So as far as the basic reporting, the Measure Finance Committee that receives an in-kind contribution, whether it's an advertising buy or anything else, needs to report the fair market value of that contribution. And that's in Part 4C of the election rules. But we don't have any specifics in the request on the nature of the buy, what the medium of the buy is. And thus, it's difficult to infer what other obligations may attach, depending on the cost of the buy. Because if the organization is such that it would qualify as a Measure Finance Committee if it spends more than $250, and then it does in fact spend more than $250, it would itself be required to register as a Measure Finance Committee. And then, it would then need to report that advertising buy as an expenditure. And in any event, the disclaimer obligations in Part 18 of the rules would need to be complied with. But the particulars of what those disclosures look like, those disclaimers look like, would depend again on facts that we just don't have in the request. And so, again, most of that, the draft that you have is, again, just charter provisions and rules. The analysis is just on the last page. And I've provided a brief summary of that. And I'll take any questions that the board may have.
Board members, questions, just weigh in.
I don't have any questions. It was a pretty bare bones request, so on the facts given to us, it just provides enough guidance for them to do what they need to do.
Agreed, Ms. Caffrey. I think it struck all of us as, or several of us anyway, that they really didn't ask the question that they probably were interested in. And Mr. Jackson has tried to provide more guidance than the question they directly answered to hopefully help. But, the basic question, can someone in kind to a Measure Finance Committee? That wasn't, he answered it, but I think they already knew the answer to that. Are there other questions?
I guess, and bear with me, please. But I would look for a little bit more, I guess, on the secondary aspect of that factual basis. It seems ambiguous enough to, in my opinion, not want to necessarily make a ruling or support an opinion on this.
Could you be more specific, Mr. Green?
Yeah, so I guess in short, right, we're looking for clarification on whether or not the Measure Finance Committee would need to report, or this donor would need to report related to the Measure Finance Committee. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And yeah, so the first question, which was the one they clearly asked, was,
Yep.
Can an entity give an in-kind contribution to a Measure Finance Committee? And that, the answer was yes. There are no real restrictions on contributions, either in kind or cash, to a Measure Finance Committee. And then the second question was, there was a little bit about it in the request, which Mr. Jackson took to be, what would be the disclosure impacts and the other impacts. And I think to summarize what he said, they could wind up being required to register as the donor could in fact be a Measure Finance Committee. Is that correct, Mr. Jackson?
Chair Marks, that is correct. And again, it's the requirements, the fact of making an in-kind contribution is independent of the facts that define whether something is in measure finance committee. It may be that an in-kind contribution is, sufficiently large expenditure to trigger that requirement. It may not be. And again, the request doesn't contain those facts.
Yeah,
So-
and so I'm definitely tracking on the primary question. The secondary is without that disclosure, right, of what that anticipated cost could be, as if it exceeds the $250 limit, right? We would then enter into requirement for disclosure, correct?
Chair Marks and Member Green, that's basically correct. I do want to
Okay.
be a little bit more specific because some of these terms get used interchangeably when we're talking, but in terms of what the charter and the rules require, they're a little bit different. There will be disclosure irrespective of whether an organization that in-kinds and advertising by has to register as a Measure Finance Committee, because it will be reported by the Measure Finance Committee that receives the in-kind as an in-kind contribution. So that's the disclosure requirement. If the organization then has to register as a Measure Finance Committee, then it will be subject to those disclosure requirements as well. So in this instance, it would, for example, have to disclose the in-kind as a as an expenditure, right? So it would be an expenditure for the donating MFC, and it would be a contribution for the receiving MFC. In either event, there will be disclaimer requirements, as there are for any broadly distributed campaign materials. But what those disclaimer requirements would be depends on the answers to facts that we just don't have.
Understood. I appreciate that clarification. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Mr. Green, certainly if you think the opinion goes too far and there's parts that you wouldn't support, you're welcome to propose changes. I understand your concern, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's what it's leading to for me, right? Definitely respect the fact, the work, the effort put forth to get this put before the board. Wanting to understand what the facts are, right? And what that threshold is where we move into the Measure Finance Committee, right? And yeah, I get the disclosure, but I would like to understand a little bit more and get a little bit more of the factual basis instead of making a ruling on a primary question that goes into a secondary question and then kind of loses terminology and factual basis for me.
Understood. And I think I will tell you, my thinking was that we got what we got, but
Yep.
it's now 2 weeks before the election. And, maybe if we were in April, we could tell them, can you give us some more clarification? And at this point, there's not time for that. So I thought, we should give them whatever guidance we could if again, whatever the board agrees with. We have further questions and discussion about this? Well, to move things along, Ms. Caffrey, do you want to make it a motion to adopt the advisory opinion as presented?
Sure. Sure. Yes, I will move that we adopt the advisory opinion as presented by Mr. Jackson, which is advisory opinion 08-2025.
And is there a second for that one?
I'll second.
That was Mr. Kunev. Now, Mr. Green, if you wanted to do some surgery on it, you could propose a motion at this point to amend the AO, and we'll take a vote on it.
So I would like to put forth a motion to amend the information put forth.
And can you specify what you would change? And page and reference the page number and try and point us at the paragraphs.
Yes. Bear with me. So I think that within, and I would put a statement of clarification from the requester. If we come in right here for the first page in the question, line 2, we get into longstanding practice, partisan for production. And let me ask you this, principal question, if we get down into the analysis portion. And thank you for pulling this up. So the secondary question, we're going to be in analysis. We're going to be in the third body,
Yeah.
sorry, second body right there.
Yeah, right.
I would like to see that with some specificity. The secondary question is what disclosure requirements attach in kind? It goes to part 4C. I believe AI, A1, AD, AC. I mean, yeah, so pretty much 4A1 is what the analysis is. So they get into the secondary question. I think that body. So I see we get the direction for the 250, but then we step over into the Measure Finance Committee. So I mean, what is being put forth? And I definitely understand, Chair Marks, your statement of we get what we get, but forgive me if I'm being too bold. But I would say that I think we need some clarification. I think we need to understand what the basis is and what we're essentially giving an opinion on. I definitely don't want to be a hindrance to the election and the impacts to it. However, I don't think there's enough here to for the secondary question to make an emphasis on it.
So I'm going to paraphrase Mr. Green. I'm going to paraphrase what you've said, and which is that I think what you're suggesting to move us, which is that we would after that sentence, the secondary question is what disclosure requirements attached to such an in-kind contribution. I think you would propose to basically strike the rest of the opinion and instead say the requester has not provided enough facts to give a good answer to this. Is that?
Yes. Thank you for that.
Okay.
Paraphrasing.
All right. The chair is going to treat that as a motion for Mr. Green to strike everything after as an issue, beginning with as an initial matter, and instead insert the requester has not provided enough factual information for us to give a meaningful response.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if I may suggest a friendly amendment to your proposed amendment, the sentence that begins as an initial matter, it may be a good idea to retain that because the obligation of the receiving Measure Finance Committee to report the fair market value of the contribution as an in-kind contribution is independent of the facts we don't have. That obligation attaches irrespective of what the facts are. If they receive the in-kind, then they've got to report the fair market value of it.
Mr. Green, are you okay with that?
Agreed. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So Mr. Green's motion, because it hasn't been seconded, and so we're going to craft it here, is that we strike everything after that paragraph. And so the paragraph beginning with if the organization is, all that would go away, and it would say the requester has not provided enough factual information for the board to give further guidance. Is that okay, Mr. Green?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and for the purpose of, well, is there a second for that motion?
I will second.
Okay, thank you. Let's call the roll. So the motion before us is to amend the main motion to modify the advisory opinion. Please call the roll, Mr. Rocha.
Member Caffrey,
Yes.
Member Cuniff,
No.
Member King,
No.
Member Kelly,
Yes.
Member Green,
Yes.
Chair Marks.
No.
With
Is it 3-3?
2 noes,
Hmm.
3 noes, you don't have a pass.
Is it 3-3?
It is 3-3. 1, 2, 3. Yes, you got it.
Okay.
You have a tie.
Okay. Uh,
So
the chair makes a motion. So Mr. Green, your motion did fail. I'm gonna make a motion, which is that we at least capture the spirit of that, which would be before the paragraph beginning, if the organization is a political committee, insert the board has concerns that the requester has not provided enough factual material as to the secondary questions of disclosure to provide the board has concerns that the requester has not provided enough factual material as to the secondary questions of disclosure to provide thorough guidance. Period. However, the board indicates as follows. So that was,
apologies.
and then a colon. Is that clear to, is that clear?
Okay, my apologies. Hopefully I got that. Was there a little bit more after this?
No. Is there a
Okay.
second for that one?
I'll second.
Now,
So,
Mr. Chair, yeah, I just want to be clear on what the proposed amendment is. I believe you had a second sentence for that paragraph, which is, however, the board indicates as follows, and then it would continue as
Right.
currently drafted.
right, so it keeps all of Mr. Jackson's material, but inserts a sentence
Disclaimer.
giving a concern that you haven't given us a lot of information. And we're gonna do the best we can with what you gave us, basically. And I heard a second, was that Mr. Kelly?
That was myself, Levi.
Oh, okay, Mr. Green, okay. Call the roll on the chair's substitute amendment.
Member Caffrey,
Yes.
Member Cuniff,
Yes.
Member King,
Yes.
Member Kelly, Member Kelly,
Skip on, continue.
I'll come back. Member Green,
Yes.
Member Kelly, one more time. Chair Marks.
Yes. So the substitute motion passes. We're back on the main motion as amended, and if there's no further discussion, let's call the roll on that.
Member Caffrey,
Yes.
Member Kuna,
Yes.
Member King,
Yes.
Member Kelly, Member Green,
Yes.
Chair Marks.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Thank you, Mr. Green, for raising that concern. You clearly struck a nerve with half the board. Do we have the internal audit, folks?
Chair Marks, there's
Vargas?
just one thing. It looks like John Kelly has left the meeting. I don't see him here. I didn't catch the time, but I'll note it as
Okay.
10:31.
Okay. If you want to offline, try and see if you can call him and get him back. We'd love to have him, but
Okay.
I don't want to delay. Do we have internal audit people?
Yes, sir.
Thank
And with the board's permission, I will disconnect at this point.
That's perfect. Thank you. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Meskey?
Sir, thank you. And thank you folks for your patience. Okay. Mr. Chair, thank you, sir. As you folks know,
And just let me interrupt you here. I make a motion to take this item off the table and proceed with it. Let's close the circle there. There's a second for Ms. Caffrey. Call the roll.
Yes. Second.
Member Caffrey,
Yes.
Member Kuna,
Yes.
Member King,
Yes.
Member Green,
Yes.
Chair Marks.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Meskey. Thank you for your patience now.
Oh, of course. Thank you, sir.
Let's get this.
Yes. So as you folks know, we have completed our qualifying contribution examination. As always, I'll keep it high level. 22 candidates pursued public financing. Of the 22, 7 qualified for it, totaling over $1 million. And for the most part, it was a clean examination. But as you know, sir, we did run into areas of non-compliance for one city councilor candidate. Those areas involved contributors either not recalling making the $5 donation or claiming to not have signed the contribution. Now, in those instances, we did perform what we call extended sampling, meaning we basically increased our standardized 5% sample in an effort to determine whether there was a pattern of non-compliance. And with that extended sampling, we did not identify any further issues. And at that point, sir, is when we worked with our counterparts, the OIG, to provide them with a new population of qualifying contributions for their internal investigation. As always, sir, very high level, right to it. I respectfully open for any questions.
Members, we have questions. Hearing none, Ms. Meskey, on behalf of the board, I want to thank you and your staff you put a lot of work into this, we know, and it appears that with the one campaign that got flagged, and we're going to talk about, that there was good compliance from the campaigns, and you went through a lot of work and came up with a simple report, and that's not a bad thing. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And the fact that there's no questions doesn't mean we didn't care about it, and we do appreciate you and your staff. Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you.
With that, we're going to move to what was called item 4 on the agenda, which was the matter of the Leva campaign. And it appears that the clerk and the campaign have reached a settlement that they wish to present to us. And do we have Mr. Watson?
I am here, Chair Marks, and thank you for the board for having us here today. In short, after the last meeting where we addressed this, the city clerk's office and the campaign and had the Office of Inspector General conduct a voluntary investigation. The investigation and review did identify a number of compliance issues with certain provisions of the charter and rules. A number of these compliance concerns were errors that appear to have been committed by volunteers, and there were some committed by the candidate, or some errors committed by the candidate. But in reviewing this and reviewing the IG's investigation with the campaign, we have come to a proposed agreement with the campaign involving a payment of a civil fine of $4,700 to the city of Albuquerque. There is an installment plan of 5 payments. We have agreed, based on the investigation, to not seek revocation of their public financing status, and or move to disqualify them from receiving public financing in the runoff. There is no admission of fault or wrongdoing by Mr. Leyva or the campaign, and that is the crux of the settlement. I will say that in terms of how we arrived at the $4,700 number, we looked over the investigation and identified approximately 16 compliance issues. Some were instances involving volunteers, and some were instances involving the campaign, and they differed in complexity and differed in terms of their what we viewed as the amount that should be assessed for them. And so based on that, we through negotiation discussion with the campaign came to an agreement about the amount. We do appreciate the campaign's approach to this investigation. They were very forthcoming with our office and engaged with the Office of Inspector General as well. And we think this is a fair resolution of this matter. And I would stand for any questions the board has.
Okay, before we do that, who's appearing for the campaign in today's Zoom meeting?
Chair, board members, Damian Lara, here with the Daniel Leyva campaign.
Do you want to make a statement on the settlement before we go
yes,
to questions?
Sure, Mark. Yes, thank you so much. I too want to thank both the Investigator General, the Office of the Auditor, and of course the Office of the County Clerk, and everyone, including the clerk Watson and all his staff. As we had mentioned at the last time that we were all here, this campaign wants to be forthright, completely transparent, and do our best to ensure that we are complying with everything. We appreciate the cooperation. That is why we did this voluntary investigation. We did discuss this with the clerk's office, and we believe that it is a fair resolution to the agreement and everything going forward. We're very close to Election Day, and we want to make sure that we put and concentrate our efforts going forward. And so thank you, and thank everybody involved in helping us make sure that we do and continue to work on best practices. As we had mentioned before, myself and all of our volunteers and the candidate, this is the first time we're doing this. We probably should have tried to sought or hired somebody who had experience running city elections before. But thanks to the questions that were answered and everybody that helped, I think we're in a very good position to continue forward in the campaign. And so thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank everybody that helped us with this voluntary investigation.
Thank you, Mr. Lara. Mr. Alden, I have a question for you. Should have asked you before we start the meeting.
Yes, Chair Marks.
Do you think we need, if the board was going to accept or reject this, or particularly accept it, do we need a evidentiary record? And like, for example, should we swear in Mr. Watson and just have him go on the record and say this is in the public interest or something like that?
I don't know that it's strictly necessary in a situation like this, given the context. This, as I understand it, hasn't been formally submitted for the board's determination, has it?
Well, it's submitted. We're going to vote on it today, and
Okay.
it's noticed to vote on, and the agenda does notice that we might take testimony. So the question is, do we need testimony? I mean, practically we don't, because if we adopted a settlement, nobody's going to contest it. But as a, again, dot the I, cross the T things. I know if we were going to issue a fine, we'd need a
Mhm.
we need a record. We're going to do a stipulated fine. Do we need a record?
I don't know if it matters, but I don't think we need an evidentiary hearing because I view what Mr. Watson and Mr. Lara have said as not testimonial, but as just in the nature of arguments.
Yeah, but I could make one of them testify.
I see what you're saying, and I largely agree with Member Caffrey on this one. I don't believe that it's strictly necessary in a case like this where the parties have stipulated. But if it would make you more comfortable with the process, I don't see any harm in it.
Okay. Let's see. I'll
because the Board of Ethics is meeting and I'm a member. Can I call you back when the meeting's over? Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Selvin, thank you for muting. Could Mr. Rocha reflect that Ms. Selvin has joined us?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's
at-
go to the let's just be practical here then. We'll go to the members' questions for either Mr. Watson or Mr. Lara, or Clerk Watson or Mr. Lara, about the settlement.
I have some question.
Okay.
Go ahead, Christina.
Oh, I did not see in the settlement agreement addressing whether the investigative report will be publicly available. Just thinking of the future, campaigns who are trying to qualify for public financing might find the investigative report helpful. So will that be public?
Mr. Watson, is it already public?
It is not public yet. I do believe the OIG's practice is to publish their reports, if I'm not mistaken. So it would be public.
I don't believe that we would have any power in a settlement agreement to make it anything other than public, just based on the nature of the OIG investigation and reports.
Mr. Lara, does the campaign have any objection to the report being public, or is it going to make any objection?
Mr. Chair, members, no, as we indicated in my statement, we want to be completely and fully transparent, both with this board as well as with the public. Member Caffey makes a great point. You know, this is a learning experience for us, and we want to make sure that other candidates, especially new candidates, have an ability to receive public financing and know what the best practices are. So we would have no objection, Your Honor. Mr. Chair.
That's fine. Ms. Caffrey, other questions or points?
That is it.
Mr. Cuniff.
I had some questions for the clerk. Mr. Watson, did your office review all 39 of the contributions that were reviewed by the OIG?
We did not review the contributions specifically. Our negotiations were based principally on the OIG's investigation itself.
So does your office have any sense as to how many of those 39 contributions wouldn't have counted toward public financing?
That was not something we looked at, and although this did come up in our discussions, that's not really how we've analyzed these in the past in terms of, well, couldn't we just sort of discount these contributions? if I understand where you're going, but we didn't look at how much they were over the threshold and sort of where they would have counted.
I guess what I'm getting at is if you had extrapolated out this universe to the entire number of qualifying contributions, in, like, let's say a sixth of these wouldn't have counted, how would that have affected the candidate's eligibility for public financing at all?
I do not have the numbers in front of me as to the total number they obtained and how many they were over the threshold. I will say that I think had we, I think our struggle is that had we been alerted to this at the time they were doing this, or had they contacted us about what they were doing, we would have corrected the practice, and they theoretically could have still qualified to the extent the number of contributions that were that had errors pushed them under the threshold. And we do want, our struggle has been, we do want to make the program accessible for candidates at the same time as we do want to facilitate compliance with our rules. And I will say that the main compliance issue that was at issue in the investigation was the signature of the collector. And while that is an important rule for us, it is an important rule, but we found limited instances. I guess in terms of how I view those in the hierarchy of violations, it's a sort of we don't classify them, but I guess I would describe it as like a class 2 violation, in that it is an important compliance point for us, but it's not necessarily a one of the more significant types of violations that can occur.
In reviewing what the OIG learned, do you see mostly acts that you would categorize more as negligent as opposed to malicious?
That was my review, Chair Marks, Member Caniff. I will say that what the main violation that, or the largest number of compliance issues we saw from the campaign were instances where the candidate, it appears that there were volunteers who were turning in qualifying contributions without a collector signature, and then the candidate was signing them himself. In my perspective, this was sort of a negligence issue because it was, it's a sort of a strange thing to do, because normally I wouldn't necessarily hold the campaign accountable for errors by volunteers, but by signing as the collector, the campaign sort of assumed responsibility for those qualifying contributions. And so to me, in terms of the violations that could occur, I do think it was a negligent issue because it didn't entirely make sense to me in terms of what was occurring. So I think, we do really appreciate the campaign working with us, because we do want our program to remain accessible, and this was a compliance concern, but we've tried to navigate sort of those 2 points.
The $4,700 that's proposed, is the candidate permitted to pay the fine out of the proceeds from public financing, or must that come from a different source?
He's actually prohibited from using the public financing funds to pay for it by our charter and rules. And so it will have to come from his own personal funds.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Watson.
Mr. Lara, do you happen to know the answer to the question of how many contributions over the minimum your campaign had?
Yes, we secured 10% over the threshold, so it was about 45 or 50 somewhere. Again, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but with speaking with other city councilors and other people, that they had said, don't just get the minimum, you've got to get a buffer. And so they said the normal buffer is 10%. And so we got between 50 and 45 additional contributions that were needed for that same reason.
Thank you. I think that responds to your question, Mr. Cooney. And I also just want to note on that same topic, the internal audit folks, theirs was a random sample, and they came up with 2 or 3. So the one that the report now we're considering, the IG report, is not a random sample, so you couldn't extrapolate from it. It was a targeted sample. But in any event, I think we do know the number there. We have other members have questions? Mr. Watson, it's not really at issue in the settlement, but I noticed something in the IG report, which was that it seemed like, based on what they heard from your office, they thought it was improper for the campaign, the collector, to be writing in addresses and other information from the contributor on the qualifying contribution form. Is that the guidance you've been giving?
We do not, I mean, we do not view that as, well, I believe our rules require that the collector should be the one to fill out the form.
Right.
We do in some instances allow other people to assist the collector, or sorry,
What's contributor?
The contributor, sorry, right. We do allow other people to assist the contributor in some instances. And I think, you know, and so in coming to this fine, we did assess what we think our evidence was and the number of violations, and you know, and we came to a consensus with the campaign about a way to move forward on this.
I understand. I think I'm going to separate out, you know, the violation where a different person signed for the campaign than was actually collecting, and there was some where it was just blatantly the wrong person. There was some where there might have been Mr. Leva or Mr. Lara might have been standing nearby while a volunteer, you know, was collecting, and I don't know that that's a violation if they were there, but there's somewhere they weren't there, they signed the form, that's clearly a violation. But I don't think the rules prohibit the campaign from filling in names and addresses. I think the only thing that the donor has to do is sign. It has to be their signature, but it's the same as a petition. I don't think you know, if somebody doesn't want to write, or, you know, I don't think that's a violation, and I don't think that's an issue in this case at this point, but can you look into that? Just
I will, and I think, you know, as with all of these, we did identify some ways that we can improve our own processes and training, and we are definitely going to work on that. And in terms of calculating what we viewed as our potential fine, we actually did not include that issue. We were more focused on the issues where someone other than the collector actually signed, or where it was turned in blank and then the campaign ultimately signed, and those types of violations. We did not actually focus on the issue of someone other than the campaign, the person not filling out the contact info.
So the 16 violations or potential violations, because we're not establishing those did not include campaign filling in names and addresses. But it does include incorrect information about the collector.
Correct.
Okay. And yeah. Okay. And I'm just going to comment a little more on that. And I think you had we all feel, or you felt uncomfortable throwing out a QC because the campaign screwed up and had the wrong person identified as the collector. It's a violation, but it goes to the intent of the voter. It's one of those issues where this voter wanted a $5 QC to be counted, and if we throw it out, we're violating that voter's rights in some ways. But it is a violation from the campaign. I think that's how I would square it. It'd be probably one that would count, but the campaign is making it hard their records are wrong, and they're making it hard to review and audit because they're misidentifying people. And so it is a serious violation, but there are reasons why you wouldn't want to not count it. But and I think that kind of goes to what you were talking about as level 2s or something. But I've talked enough. I'm sorry. Are there any more questions, or is there a motion on this?
I just have one more.
Sure.
And it's for the clerk. Mr. Watson, it's sort of a compound question. And the first part is one of the objectives of levying the penalty the benefit of deterrence? And if so, do you think that the $4,700 amount serves that purpose?
I do. I mean, I think we've seen in the last 3 election cycles that our office has significantly increased our compliance framework. And we are devoting more and more effort to that. And I think this board is seeing that both through the ongoing audits that are being conducted by internal audit, and then in this case, the special investigation that was conducted by the Office of Inspector General. I do think this will serve us in future cycles to assist candidates in identifying fines that can come up, or civil, or even settlements that can occur if they are, just to highlight that they need to be extremely cautious in reviewing our rules. And so we do think this will serve that purpose.
Do you think that just having to go through an OIG investigation is in itself a form of deterrence?
I do think the OIG's investigation has, is its own, is a challenging thing for campaigns to deal with. I do think we appreciated the way that the Labor campaign engaged with the OIG's investigation in this instance, but your point is well taken that it is, it has raised its own, it is in itself a significant event, but I think it's important that, because we are, the issue here for my office is that we are foregoing the opportunity to bring a complaint over this, and we have, as part of the settlement, we are not doing so. And so, and I think it's important that where there are significant compliance concerns, that those be adjudicated. And so the parties here have elected to sort of resolve the compliance concerns. And I think it's definitely, this has done that, but the investigation needed to be addressed.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to either accept or reject the settlement? And just for the, it's my opinion that if the board rejects the settlement or does not approve it, it's my intention to hold a hearing, and if possible next week, and get this adjudicated before the election. But that would be the alternative to approving it. Is there a motion to approve it?
I will move to approve the settlement as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Who was the second?
Sean Kniff.
Okay, thank you.
Member Caffrey?
And there isn't, I just, so the board is fully informed. If this, you could reject the settlement and you could tell the parties, hey, this is what we would agree to if you want to come back with a settlement. So there is a third alternative. It's not a complete binary choice, but they may or may not be able to come back with a settlement that met your specifications if you didn't like this one. Okay, so now, Mr. Rocha, the vote.
Member Caffrey,
Yes.
Member Kunev,
Yes.
Member King,
Yes.
Member Kelly,
Yes.
Member Green, Member
Yes.
Green. Thank you. Member Selvin,
Yes.
Chair Marks.
Yes. And does anyone want to comment on their vote?
I'll jump on that boat.
Okay.
I think within the recitals there, it's kind of ambiguous. I think maybe this is part of lessons learned just for campaigns in the future, and just like to be on record with stating that definitely respect the fact. Thank you very much. Both to the committee as well as the city clerk and investigative office as well for all the efforts. It looks like the majority of the non-compliant issues are removed, within the contributions. Yeah, I think this is a point of making sure that we hold that integrity, within these elections, all the way up to the front end work that it takes, right? So again, thank everyone. I appreciate you all. I'm
Thank you,
feeling
Mr.
like maybe, in comment E, the IG's investigation, this is under the recital investigation, identified various instances where the campaign and its volunteers had not complied with provisions of the OEEC. Mr. Leyva and Daniel Leyva campaign have not admitted to any wrongdoing or fault. Respect that 100%, but I think that lessons learned here, again, to Mr. Laura's comment, that I think there's an opportunity for that, again, learning and sharing that, right? I think that would, I think that, just a declaration there would work wonders and just hold some integrity. And that's my 2 cents. So thank you again.
And Mr. Chairman, if I could just make one comment, I want to acknowledge the cooperation of the Leyva campaign. I know for me, looking at the fine amount, it isn't a large amount of money, but I think given what the campaign went through during the investigation and their level of cooperation was a very important dynamic for me in making this determination. I think it's important to convey out to the political world that cooperation is the way to go, and the Leyva campaign demonstrated that.
Other members? Okay. Hey, thank you. I had a similar, I think, view as Mr. Green. If I would have preferred, just advising the clerk on this one, I would have preferred an agreement where they did acknowledge that they made violations and perhaps just, didn't have maybe in negligence or not in bad faith, but acknowledge that the violations occurred. And I maybe would disagree with Ms. Kunev, and I do think that the fine is very significant and appears to be significant to Mr. Leyva, since it's not something he's able to pay all at once. $4,700 is a lot of money to a lot of Albuquerque residents. So it's a significant fine, and just for the future, me personally, I would, smaller fine and admission of culpability would be a good trade-off in terms of sending a message, because I think in the past, the function of this board, and one of the reasons, members, that I really wanted this to get done before the election is that when there are mistakes, I think the biggest thing we can do is we adjudicate it to the public that there were mistakes. And I think hopefully if there's any press watching this, it'll be clear that the board didn't think the mistakes were made in bad faith, and appreciated the cooperation, but it is information voters should have. And so that's, and I think Ms. Capri's point earlier that the report will be public is important in that respect. And lastly, I'll just thank, though, the clerk and Mr. Lara for getting this done, because I think it was important to get it done before the election. That's why, even though I would have preferred a slightly different settlement, I supported this, because you guys got it done. You got something done that you both, that the campaign could live with, and that the clerk believed was in the public interest, and that's his job, and we respect that. Thank you. And if anybody wants to add anything, we'll do that. Otherwise, we'll take a motion to adjourn. Hey, hearing no comments, we'll take a motion to adjourn. And as always, I appreciate the members. It's clear that everyone thought about this, and I think we're doing what we're supposed to. So we will probably not meet again. Mr. Rocha?
Our next meeting in the annual schedule is November 12th at 1 p.m. Considering any matters coming before, but
Okay. If we don't have anything, we might not meet for a while. Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, I think that would sound like Mr. Kelly to me.
Yes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Mr. King. Call the roll, and everyone,
Member Caffrey,
Yes.
Member Cuniff,
Yes.
Member King,
Yes.
Member Kelly,
Yes.
Member Green,
Yes.
Member Sullivan,
Yes.
Chair Marks.
Yes. Okay, thanks, everyone. And thanks again, Mr. Rocha, for making all this work.
Thank you.
Thank you.